feels like a bit of a worrying pattern is starting to emerge over the past few weeks in some of these Liverpool matches against Everton, against Wolves, and now against Aston Villa. It feels like Liverpool's midfield is unable to cope with with the opposition midfield's physicality, their running, their aggression, fighting for the ball in midfield, the 50-50s. It's starting to feel like Liverpool's midfield, for whatever reason, is losing out more and more on these kinds of contests on the field. And it's starting to become noticeable that Liverpool's defense as well is faltering. For whatever reason, they haven't been able to compete in terms of winning aerial duels, winning headers in the air. There was that late equalizer at Everton. The cross comes in, they lose the first header, they lose the second header, they can't win the ball, they can't clear the ball. Everton score. Likewise, the first equalizer from Aston Villa, the cross comes in. They couldn't win the first header, they couldn't clear the ball. They couldn't win the second header. I don't know how many headers. They couldn't win the first, or the second, maybe even the third as well. They just couldn't seem to win. They couldn't win the header, they couldn't clear the ball. And just like that, Aston Villa scored the equalizer. And then also, Aston Villa's second goal for the 2-1. I watched the build up to it, and it seemed like every time, because initially they were passing the ball around their midfield and their defense first, and Liverpool players were chasing and pressing and chasing and pressing, which is fair enough. But they were always slow to get there. They were always unable to win the tackle. Sometimes there'd be two Liverpool midfielders trying to sandwich the Aston Villa player with the ball, and somehow they put in a tackle, and it doesn't work. The Aston Villa player, would ride the challenge, ride the tackle, skip the tackle, skip past his player or whatever, and come out the other side still having the ball, and keep possession that way. And during those few crucial seconds, when the Liverpool player, they commit to that tackle and they completely miss it, those few seconds right there, it opens up the space for the Aston Villa player to do something, to make a play, to pass the ball forward, to try and make things happen. And that is sort of what happened here. When the Liverpool players, they kept trying to chase and tackle the ball, and they kept missing it time after time, eventually the ball was played forward to one of Aston Villa's forward players. And with that one pass, it cut through the entire, it cut through Liverpool's entire midfield. And all of a sudden, the Aston Villa forwards were on Liverpool's defense. They got the ball, they're making the forward runs, the ball is played out to the left, the cross comes in, one of Aston Villa's attackers, completely unmarked, completely unnoticed, he makes the run into the box. It's a late run to the box. He makes that run. He wins a free header because no one noticed him. And just like that, the goal for the 2-1. And that goal is sort of, it really encapsulated and just exposed a lot of sort of weakness, if I call it that, or the symptoms of what has been wrong with Liverpool lately, which as I mentioned at the start, midfield couldn't win any tackles between them, defense couldn't win any headers between them. Just utterly infuriating at times when I see, and when I look at Liverpool's midfield on the ball and Aston Villa's midfield off the ball, and then vice versa. There were a number of occasions, Liverpool's midfielders that are on the ball. They want to make the forward pass, then make a forward run, that kind of thing. They want to make things happen. They did, create some things from time to time, But at the same time, there were many occasions where Aston Villa's midfield, they'll have 2 players or 3 players, chasing back, chasing after whoever has the ball, flying into tackles, making sliding tackles, and crucially, their midfielders are winning the ball, making successful tackles and winning the ball. And then a number of times, when I look at the reverse, Aston Villa's midfielder has the ball. Liverpool's midfielders, what are they doing? They close in, they press, the player with the ball. Sometimes they will have 2 players, sort of sandwiching the Aston Villa player between them, but neither one is making a tackle. Neither one is making any kind of successful tackle. It's as if they're just running alongside the person, escorting him instead of trying to win the ball from him. Yeah, I remember the one particularly egregious one in the second half. I can't remember which Aston Villa player exactly had the ball. Okay, but he got the ball, and I think it was McAllister and Szoboszlai, both again that kind of pincer movement, sandwiching him in, trying to hem the Aston Villa player in, but neither one made a successful tackle. The Aston Villa player just shrugged off both the 2 of them, kept running with the ball, and I think he either took a shot himself or he passed it to a player who then took a shot. I look at it and just, why? Why are none of the Liverpool midfielders able to win a tackle between them? It felt like, are they lacking? Are they just weak in the tackle? Not aggressive enough? No conviction in it? Because I don't have an answer for this, and I don't know why. Now, among the 3 first choice midfielders, Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai, none of them really have that kind of reputation as that tough to get past defensive midfielder, like in the way that like a Rodri would be for Man City. Of the 3 of them, my impression at least, is that McAllister is the one who is sort of closest to that bill. He is a very tenacious player. If he is on the ball, it's hard to get the ball away from him. If the opponent has the ball, he will try and hustle and harry, the kind of, like a tenacious pit bull kind of thing. He'll try and get in there and try and fight for the ball or whatever. But sometimes he'll try and fight for the ball and then somehow win a free kick or whatever. He puts his body on the line to try and win a free kick that way. But in terms of actually winning the ball cleanly, maybe he is better at it than I'm giving him credit for. I don't know. But as far as this match is concerned, it felt like those 3 midfielders and Jones as well, it felt like none of them were really able to win a tackle between them. And just time after time, the Aston Villa players just goes past them and they are making attacks and whatever. Okay, it's just that those attacks ended up being quite wasteful or never really tested Alisson much. And speaking of wasteful, the other worrying aspect, okay, is how wasteful Liverpool were in attack today. Okay, the stats were showing that Liverpool had 17 shots in total, and they scored 2 goals. But more than that is, there were a number of occasions when Liverpool had the ball in very good positions. They should be scoring, but somehow they just waste the chance and again and again. There was that one chance, that very good chance that Jota had just after Aston Villa's equalizer, just after the 1-1. So, a ball is played forward, like a bit of a long ball, just lifted through. Jota breaks the offside trap. He's through 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. He's running in from that angle from the left. And all he needs to do is just place the ball, just curl it to that far post, just that composed finish, make it a 2-1. But instead, he completely mishits it, and instead of making that kind of inward curl to the far post, it ends up making more like an outward curl, more towards the corner flag. And it just felt like one of those infuriatingly wasteful days was about to happen. And then of course you got the second half. Second half, subs are made. Nunes comes on. And within a few seconds after that, a through ball is played perfectly for Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai is through, he's beyond the defense, he has the ball, goalkeeper is running out to engage him, he squares the ball for Nunes, fair enough. Nunes has an open goal to just hit at, and he hits the shot way over the bar, completely off target. And it's just one of those, it's one of those, when you look at it, you just think, Nunes, not again. Nunes, not again. And later in the second half, Nunes does well to tackle the defender, and win the ball, and he's running through. The goalkeeper is rushing out to engage him. All Nunes needs to do is square the ball to his right, because there is a Liverpool player, if I remember correctly, there is a Liverpool player who is making that run down the middle, wanting to support the attack. But Nunes just takes the ball and just completely runs straight, and he runs straight against the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper, manages to slide tackle the ball away and clear the danger. And yet again, it's Nunes, not again. I've spoken highly of Nunes many times, and I've said in the past before that he has a lot of the skills and the skill set required to be a top striker. He has that pace, he has that running power, he has that aggression and tenacity to try and hustle and harry and harass the defenders who are on the ball, to try and win it off them, to try and make something happen. But then when it comes time for that composure to put the ball in the net, to score the big chance, to be a clinical finisher, he somehow keeps messing up. Yes, I know he scored the 2 goals very late against Brentford several weeks ago. Yes. But that match feels more like the exception than the rule. It's starting to feel like him wasting chances is the rule, and him taking chances is the exception. And for a team that wants to go for the biggest trophies, biggest titles, you can't have a striker who is that wasteful that frequently. As the match wore on, and in fact I should say first, for much of the match, you can see that Aston Villa were playing a compact shape, but they were playing a high line. So that compact shape was largely, parked near or just further back from the halfway line. There is space behind the Aston Villa defense line to exploit. And that high line was there for at least a whole hour or so. Liverpool had many chances to just play a long ball forward to one of the players, who's willing to make a run, willing to try and exploit the space behind the Aston Villa defense. But it just felt like no one was willing to play the pass. It was all very slow, very sideways, left to right, right to left, defense to midfield, midfield to defense, back and forth, left and right, back and forth. And as they are passing slowly among themselves, and they are slowly inching forward, the Aston Villa defensive shape is slowly inching backwards. So that space behind the defense line that was there is slowly disappearing because Liverpool are playing in such a way that allows it to happen. Sometimes it doesn't need to be overly complicated. It doesn't need to be all that tippy-tappy, tiki-taka type of thing. It's not about the long ball or the short ball. It's about the right ball. And in a situation where you have an opponent playing a high line and leaving all that space behind, the right ball is the obvious one. They could have done that, but they didn't. Or at the very least, they very rarely did. And then by towards the end of the match, when it's 85 plus minutes or whatever already, by that point, most of the Liverpool team have started to feel tired. Liverpool's midfield probably very tired as well. And by that point, it felt like the only option or the only strategy that they had left in those final few minutes is for Alisson to just kick it long to Salah and hope that Salah could somehow create something by himself. And by the point in the game, Aston Villa had basically also just shifted their entire team shape and defense back already. They weren't going to let Salah exploit the space behind them. So it's like by that point late in the match, you're expecting Salah to create and to score. Just all around terribly wasteful, terrible in midfield and defense. Now, yes, the result of this match does mean that Liverpool are eight points clear of Arsenal in the title race. Now Arsenal are the ones with the game in hand, and yes, there are no guarantees that Arsenal will win that game in hand and close the gap to 5 points. Nothing is guaranteed. But as it is, the team is starting to show some worrying signs of weakness and creaking here and there. And it looks like they're starting to allow Arsenal back into this title race when a few weeks ago or even a few months ago, it looked like Liverpool could run away with it. But then just so many silly points dropped here and there. The late equalizer at Newcastle, the late equalizer at Everton, and just a few more things here and there, that could make a huge difference. So these three matches starting to feel a bit like a wobble, but I don't know. Hopefully the wobble stops and somehow in the next match Liverpool can win that away against Man City. But somehow there's that nagging feeling that this wobble might still carry on. I did say during the previous match, the win against Wolves, that in the run-in in this title race, there probably will be a number of other matches that resembles what happened in the match against Wolves. But if those matches end up resembling what happened in this match against Aston Villa, then I think Liverpool could say bye-bye to the title that looked as though it was destined to be theirs. And right now, it is up to them to sort themselves up, to make sure that the title stays in their hands.